Hello, everyone. Before we get started, I want you to think about one number tonight. And that number is 17,500. That is the average cost of the tariffs, what tariffs are adding to the cost of a new home, new construction home built in the United States right now. And if you build in Myrtle Beach, which is a coastal area, that number could be more. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So stick around with us for the next 40-ish or so minutes. And we're going to go over why that is and what's taking place. And hopefully we can answer all of your questions.
And how it affects our area locally.
That's right.
If it does.
That's right. But I'm Frank Harita. This is Tiffany Harita. And we are Carolina Crafted Homes. And tonight we're talking everything tariffs and new construction in the country, but also how it affects here in Myrtle Beach. So I think it's an interesting topic, and I'm not so sure that everyone's crystal clear on exactly what that looks like. But I thought we could start quickly with what exactly a tariff is, because I feel like some people are a little confused as to exactly how this plays out.
Okay.
So a tariff is essentially just the U.S. government taxing imports into our country, okay? And I think there's also been some debate as to exactly who pays that tariff. But essentially, Trump enacted the tariffs because he wanted to protect manufacturing and job growth in the United States.
Or bring back.
Yes.
Bring it back.
Yes, protect and bring back, exactly. And so who pays that? Well, it's not Canada and China. It's actually us, you pay the tariffs. And so what happens is the tariff gets added to whatever product is coming into the United States, and that person, the suppliers, have to figure out how they're going to pass that down. So
of course they're not going to pay it.
That's exactly right. So if we the builder have to, the lumber company has to pass that down. The builder then has to decide if they're going to pass it down. And that's part of the conversation tonight is what do builders do? What do people do when they have these added costs? And then who is it affecting? What products is it affecting? And that's kind of the conversation we're going to have.
I think that's why everybody's a little disgruntled, because they are feeling the effects already in their pocketbooks, not just with housing, but groceries, all kinds of things that we're buying these days. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
And
I know it's for good intentions, but it's painful a little bit for Americans, I'm sure, to be going through this, and everything seems so expensive right now. So
well, one thing we won't get into tonight, but then you have to add this on top, which is oil, because we're in the middle of a war right now, and we have oil in our country, which is great, but that's going to cause some different changes and disruptions. But
manufacturing and things like that, and
products, and petroleum,
even just shipping cost.
That's right. Everything's tied to energy.
Yeah, of course. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully that's just temporary. But right now we're talking about the tariffs that's been going on for longer. Hopefully we won't be doing another video about how the oil prices have affected home costs.
Well,
so we will see. But do you want to put up the graphic of exactly, let's talk about when tariffs are related to housing. What exactly is being tariffed? I guess is that a word?
What is being tariffed? This one? Okay. So this is what's being tariffed.
In relation to housing. Like, these are the things that builders are seeing the cost go up for. And this is what we're going to be talking today with the number Frank mentioned of 17,500. Where does that come from? Why is that being added to houses? Are builders just greedy? No, they're not. They're seeing higher prices of the materials to build the house, including lumber. Obviously, that's a big part of the home that's imported from Canada.
That's right. Softwood lumber, about 10%, but about stacks to about 45%. So with other things that are taking place, we won't get into detail, but anti-dumping duties and things like that. But yes, so there's Canadian lumber.
There's steel and aluminum.
Steel, aluminum, copper, 50%. And you think of what on the home is that going to affect? You've got windows, hurricane straps, plumbing, It could be
I
any
mean,
of that.
so many parts of the
HVAC.
home. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
different areas,
There's
but
so
that's
many
just a few.
components. Right.
That's just a few. So, but that's right.
Cabinets,
Mhm.
many that are imported, obviously American made, usually are higher cost anyway than the imported.
That's
But
right.
now the imported are higher cost as
Kitchen
well.
cabinets and vanities are about 50%, and they doubled as of January. They went up 25% as of January 1st, 2026.
Jeez,
So
that's crazy.
mhm.
And we all know that's a big cost of our homes anyway. When we're doing remodels or new construction, cabinets are one of those things that a lot of people think about when they think about doing a remodel.
Then you have to think about there's a global 10% tariff on almost all imports. So that's on top. And then you also have gypsum or drywall, which is coming from Canada and Mexico.
Yeah, that's another thing on our sheet is drywall.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some appliances.
That's right, appliances
that are coming in. And I mean, the simple thing is the tariffs equal higher cost, which equal more expensive to buyers. That's the bottom line. It is passed along, like you said. So
well,
do you think most of this was made in the USA?
Most of what made? What do you mean?
Is it, like any of these materials made in the USA? Like, do you think people will start producing them here and making them less expensive than the ones we're importing right now that are being tariffed? Like, what do you see coming?
Well, the problem is what no one's telling you is that these costs don't just add up, they stack.
Yeah.
And what happens is you could touch 5 different phases that are tariffed in one project, like a kitchen renovation.
Right. Yes.
So you do a kitchen renovation, it touches 5 different phases. They all have increased costs. And most builders are telling people that they have to add 30% to the cost of what they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's so that everybody's covered. And so and yes, I do think that there are some things that we can do to prevent, these costs from being like they are forever, but it's going to take time.
Yeah.
So there's ways to fix
things
it.
up and running.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But also,
and we have lots of lumber here, but it's not going to happen overnight.
Well, and let's say cabinet companies would have to get the lumber from American companies, otherwise they would still be tariffed. So it's like a whole chain effect.
But if you think about it, what a good, I was researching, you talk about like investing your money, and one good place to invest, this is not investing advice, but they were talking about the video that I was watching, one place to invest your money right now in hopes that if you believe things are going to change for the better, and we are, there's only 2 ways this is going to go, good or bad, based on this war with Iran and that kind of thing. But if you're positive like I am, and you're all America all the way, and you believe that we have brighter days ahead, then you would invest in domestic companies, because if we are able to get the manufacturing back to the United States, that's going to take off. Those companies are going to do well. And so you would want to invest in any company that's American made.
Sure. Let's do it. You sold me.
All right.
So we got this information from the National Association of Home Builders. The number of 17,500 didn't just come out of thin air. That's what the Home Builders Association is actually seeing out there and reporting. And the national average that's added to home, the average home. But it also is showing up here in Myrtle Beach. So we'll talk about that. But Frank, do you think that the big box builders like the D.R. Horton, the Lennar, the Pulte are affected, or is it more of the small local builders, home builders, and remodelers?
I think it's mostly the smaller builders that all are impacted. Mostly the smaller ones, because the bigger ones are locked in a lot of ways on pricing or the opportunities they have.
Well, they have buying power from the amount of materials they buy. So they can get like quantity discounts that smaller builders don't have the opportunity to get, which helps keep their costs lower than the average guy is basically paying retail,
Yeah. There's like a lock-in effect, right? So the bigger builders are a little more protected. It'll take more time for them to actually get hit by this.
Yeah.
Smaller guys are affected pretty much immediately.
Yeah. The big builders, it'll take more time for them to absorb all those costs and see any effects. So for sure, the custom home builders, the smaller remodelers, that's where you're going to see it. Obviously, they're going to have to raise their cost, and that's going to affect the customer or their business at the end of the day. So the result could be fewer projects, like fewer remodel projects right now until this evens out, and definitely less homes being built until this figures itself out, because supply drives inventory. And if the supply goes down because everything's getting so expensive, the home builders are going to cut back on how much they build. But we already have a supply issue. So that's a whole nother layer to this. So
the Center for American Progress estimated that through 2030, there would be 450,000 fewer homes built due to tariffs.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. And, you know, I think the Brookings Institute was the one that came up with the 27 billion added cost to residential homes. You divide that by the 1.55 million built every year, and that's how you get that 17.5. But the bottom line is that they think that there's going to be a lot fewer homes built, and we're already how many million homes less than we need to have right now.
But what effect is that to the buyer? If there's less inventory, there's more competition for the homes that are existing, which could equal higher prices.
Prices go up.
Exactly. So again, our pocketbooks are being hit by this, no matter which way you cut it.
That's right.
Whether they stop building and you just have the homes now or whatever, like we're going to be seeing the impacts.
Yeah, we're already short roughly 5. I've seen estimates as high as 6 million.
Yeah.
Some as low as 3.7 million. We're short millions of homes.
Right.
And so this isn't going to help. And like we talked about here in Myrtle Beach, we're coastal.
Yes.
So it even is compounded, even from just like regular
chart on that. Because I mean, this is just a pretty basic
is this the Myrtle
graphic.
Beach one,
no, it's the second one. Yeah, there you go. So no, the other one. Thank you. I should be on the graphs, not Frank.
Well, you never step up
together.
to do.
I put him
no,
in
you
order
never
for
step.
him.
You act like you. I'm the one that's always got this ready to go.
Order, so it should be easy.
Whatever.
We're learning.
Whatever.
So basically, what is the first thing on here is the average home price in our area. Then you have to think about, on top of that, the average price that it costs just to build with our coastal regulations. We're already higher here than a lot of areas in the country because of what we're required to do by code as being on the coast. And then on top of that, you've got that 17,500 average cost added now because of the tariffs. So our region has all of these things stacking up, like you said, where it's not just the home price, then we've got these other factors to consider. So we are really seeing impacts here because affordability is a major issue already. So any dollars you add to the cost is affecting people, and the interest rates. Luckily, this is the second straight week since the beginning of the war that interest rates have actually started to go down. That's really good news. I hope that they stay that way and keep on the downward trend. Obviously, it's week by week, depending on negotiations and how things are going in the war. So that's really going to affect things as well as these tariffs. So we'll see. But the positive is that we've had 2 weeks of a declining trend in the interest rate. So hopefully that's a good sign. We shall see.
That's
you
all.
Can take that off now.
Yeah, that's all great. The thing is, the bottom line though is that we have expected high growth, which is not a shock. We've been talking about this on many live videos, right?
There's a chart for this.
Yeah, I know, but that's not the.
Yeah, this is our expected growth. So
growth is coming. Costs are going up. We already have only a few months of new construction inventory.
That's right. Yeah.
And that makes up like what, 25 to 33% of the home sales?
Of new construction?
Yeah, new construction.
Yeah.
So you take all those factors into consideration. And for anybody who thinks that prices are going to go back down, unless there's something massive that's coming that no one can see,
well,
meaning like from the,
a lot of things have changed.
Yes, and I'm not saying a guarantee or anything else,
tariffs.
But based on the data that we have, it doesn't show prices coming down for any reason.
Right. Well, they still haven't come down even in 2023 when those interest rates skyrocketed to an average of 8% or more. Prices still stayed high. So Yes. I mean, and of course, like we talked about, as the inventory tightens, those prices are not going to come down. And we don't have a demand problem here in Horry County. We have a supply problem because so many people, as you can see on the chart, are moving to our area, and we're projecting even more to move to the area. So we need new projects coming out of the ground, new homes. And if this tightens the new construction around here and makes builders maybe slow down a little bit, then I think in the long term, that's really going to affect things in our area, the prices and availability for people, for buyers.
Absolutely. It is.
So, I mean, as we've talked about, we're one of the fastest growing areas in the country here in Horry County. So, just recently we had 3.8% population growth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are still continuing to move.
Well, you're gonna, I mean, there's not many options. You could not move, but you're gonna have to pay the cost that it is.
Well, I think, again, we talked about people are moving to our area, but still compared to other parts of the country, we're still reasonable in prices, even with these added costs for new construction. I'm sure we're still lower than many parts of the country. And we have the beach and all the stuff we've talked about. So it'll be interesting to see if this is affecting people moving here, or if it's just affecting how much opportunity we have for people to find homes when they do choose to move here.
And there's other factors that are going to change all of this as we go through different seasons, as we go through, we're a second home market as well. So that will always have, then like you said, you've got interest rates, but tariffs are another piece. So you've got the tariffs now on top of it. Because we're coastal, you have insurance and you have flood and
interest rates.
So all this stuff just, it's a lot going on at the same time. And then you have the fact that Horry County, wants a moratorium on, like, some people want a moratorium. They're trying to sign a petition to stop, the building. Like,
some people, some people always want to stop growth.
That's always happening. But, like, you got some people that want this, some people that don't. We've got infrastructure, so they're charging people more because we have to pay for all of that infrastructure. So over at the end of the day, it is still much less expensive than living in a lot of other places.
Yeah.
But we still are seeing cost increases in many ways.
I mean, can you even imagine if we went back to 2019 and just told ourselves, hey, in 2026, prices are going to be like 100,000 plus on average more. Interest rates are going to be more than double. Tariffs are going to add so much money. Like, all these things are going on. We didn't know how good we had it for so many years after the Great Recession.
Yeah.
We were all spoiled. Prices were low, interest rates were low, affordability was high. And out of nowhere, we got hit with, like you said, insurance going up, tripling here, interest rates more than doubling. I mean, out of nowhere, prices going up. So, and like you said, we haven't really seen any of those things come down in a major way that's going to affect affordability in a big way that we need. And then now with these tariffs, that's just adding to this issue. So I'm hoping in a couple years we'll be sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, remember when that was horrible? Now things have figured themselves out. But it'll be interesting to see. But I wish we all could kind of take a breather and not take for granted what we had so good a few years ago.
No, for sure. And I think, when you go to purchase a home, one of the things we're going to talk about is what maybe you can do if you're talking to a custom builder, if you're talking to a production builder, if you're talking to renovate your home. But you have soft costs and you have hard costs when you're going to build a home. And soft costs are essentially the costs that you can't touch, right? So that might be impact fees, engineering fees, permit fees, whatever. Those, you have an increase on all of those, as well as an increase on the hard costs, which are the lumber and the steel and anything else you can put your hands on, the anything else. So you're gonna get hit in both places in regards to building here at the coast.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You can either buy a resale home, but actually lately, prices of new construction homes have actually been lower on average than resale homes. And a lot of that is we have a lot more of the large builders coming to our area that weren't here 10 years ago, and subdivisions like that that are building more affordable homes at better price per square foot. I don't think those will be affected as much. However, they might slow down on starting new developments that they're planning until this thing evens out and they can see, because they're really like bottom line driven, those big builders.
Yes.
And if they don't see the numbers they want to see on the spreadsheet, they're not going to build there. So I think it could affect maybe some new developments that were supposed to come up sooner than later. Those might be delayed. Things are still selling pretty quickly. I was just dealing with a customer yesterday. We were putting an offer on a neighborhood. That agent had written 4 contracts just yesterday alone. So there is still some areas that are hot here in town, and that's mainly those builders. And what they do, the ones that are selling for such good prices and are kind of flying off the shelf a little, they are doing pure specs. So they're buying in bulk to keep the costs low. They can manage their costs. They don't have all the unforeseen cost of like a custom build. And they are also taking their amount of buying power and using money to buy down rates in packages to pass along to the buyers. So there's so many reasons why the big box new construction is a good thing for buyers right now in our area.
And you got ahead there. You got ahead of where one of our talking points.
Yeah, I know.
So let me just make sure we call that out. You were ahead of where you're supposed to be. So one of the topics that Tiffany just brought up, which is important, is does the builder you're working with, can they buy in bulk? I think a lot of regional and smaller builders that are going to probably, I hate to say it, build better quality, they aren't able to buy in bulk. There's only so much they can buy in bulk. They don't have those deep pocketbooks. So I think there's a pro and a con here, right? So it's good things going on, but this is the real truth. This is what these are going to affect you when you go to build a home. Now, you may not see it, and the different builders are going to have different options. They're going to have to decide how they pass this through or not. But there's reasons why they can't pass through a lot of this also. And we can talk about that. But
I mean, and we build custom homes. So full transparency, we're talking about why it's a great thing to go with a big box builder. But there's also the cons to it as well.
There's cons to it as well. I'm curious to know, though, if you are watching, have you built a custom home recently? Are you in the process of building a custom home? Have you put off your plans to build a home? Or have you put off your plans to renovate because of costs, whether due to tariffs or what's going on in the world right now? I'm just curious to know what questions you have. And is this something that you have chosen to do, meaning hold off and not take action in any way because of the extra costs? I think it'd be interesting to know. And if you live here in Myrtle Beach, that would be interesting to know too. Because I'm sure people all over, they're all having the same issue. But here in Myrtle Beach, I'm interested to know specifically what people are doing and why. So.
But again, our market hasn't crashed here. We're still pretty even.
No, we're in good shape.
Pretty flat. We're not going up, but we're not going down either. So I think some people now are just thinking, I've waited long enough. I'm just going to get the home I want.
Yes.
And the issue with buying one of the spec homes or from the big box builder, you're stuck with what they have to offer. And you're stuck in a more cookie cutter type neighborhood where all the homes look the same, and you're making the floor plan fit to your lifestyle, or you're fitting your lifestyle to the floor plan instead of designing one that actually works better for your family. And I get it, because everybody's in different stages of finances.
And we've lived in both. We've lived in both.
And so, I mean, if you're planning to build your dream home, then it's still a great time. We're not trying to convince you it's not, but these are things to consider when you are thinking about which way you want to go.
And I think that's fair. And we see both sides, because we also not only build and renovate, we're also real estate agents. So we see it on the helping our buyers and mostly our buyers when it comes to the new construction stuff, but So we're in it all the time.
And that's why we talk to buyers about their goals, because I've literally told a client, you can't build a custom home. You are not going to get the prices that you're looking for, that your budget is going with anybody in town that's custom. You need to buy something where you can get that square footage at a better price to start. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is. And I think we all have to just be realistic about what it is costing now. And the builders aren't sitting there making buku bucks and just laughing and like,
like,
we're getting all these
record
prices.
profits.
Yeah, it's not that way. It's just, we're all feeling the burn on all sides, not just buyers, the builders as well, and the suppliers.
And we've been in the industry. We have been in the industry. I have been in it 25 years. How many years have you been in it?
20.
Okay. So a combined 45 years in the business, real estate, building. So we've seen a lot, not everything. We've seen a lot. We were in the business during the GFC. We were in the business during COVID, the Great Financial Crisis, 2008. So when everything was really as bad as it ever has been. And then we also, when things were as good as they could ever be during COVID, because that was probably the hottest market we've ever seen. So we've seen both, and we've been in between when it was like after and before and after both of those. So, you know, it's cyclical. And so this too will pass, and it is what it is.
I think that's what everybody has to just understand is, I think it's easy to get in the doom and gloom and just thinking this is going to be forever. I do think things will figure themselves out just as they have in the past. And we might have a new normal, but I don't think it'll be hitting us as hard as everything is coming down at once at this exact point in time.
So what other, do we have more data about the market and what's going on? Or do we have like, I want to also get to like what they can do if they're, talking to builders.
Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about.
I had a list of like questions too that people could ask. I put down.
Okay.
Go
for it.
I added something. Not that your script wasn't perfect. Not that your talking points. I don't have a
script.
Your talking points though.
Okay.
Not that your notes weren't perfect.
You're perfect, babe.
So if you're buying new construction, a couple of questions you can ask. So you can ask what's already purchased versus what's ordered post-contract. Now you wouldn't ask that for a production builder because they've already pretty much, that doesn't really matter.
Well, anyway, they're not going to tell you that anyway.
Yeah. Well, because locked pricing helps them with their pricing. So,
well, I think the biggest thing with that is what you're saying. So when you buy with one of the larger builders, larger national or regional, you're going to pay whatever price is on the contract. They don't raise the price on you. However, a lot of local builders might do cost plus or something where it's an escalated pricing situation. So if the price of the items go up, you agree from the beginning that you will pay it. So people saw that when we got that COVID, because they might have been in the middle of building and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we couldn't get garage doors. We couldn't get windows. You couldn't get a CO without the garage doors. I mean, you can't believe like just a little thing could affect everything so much. And prices skyrocketed of lumber overnight, all of these materials. So people got stuck halfway in. And then the builder, even locally, would tell them, if you want your home finished, you need to pay $50,000, $100,000 more, or I cannot finish your home. It doesn't make sense. I'm losing money if I finish your home right now. And it wasn't anybody's fault. Nobody saw that coming. But that is where a buyer, when you're building a custom home or a home with that type of contract, you could find yourself in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah. And I think also another thing that people can do is they could negotiate hard right now, which we see on the real estate side, if there's spec homes, because you're paying for 2025 materials.
Right.
So that's the good news about, if there's specs that are like still under construction or started last year, and they haven't finished yet, that's an opportunity for you.
Well, and as far as a finished spec home, builders don't want to be sitting on that and paying carrying costs. So they do have an incentive to sell those.
Yeah. And then watch delivery dates, right? Because right now, if things are delayed, so like, let's say, I guess technically like some homes will be caught in the cabinet trap from January 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if the home could have started last year, they
Yes.
didn't have the extra 25% counted on their plans. Then they got hit with the extra 25% and someone's going to eat that.
Yeah, of course.
So,
I mean, that's where, like you said, those builders are just buying in bulk. They already have the inventory. And so it might take some lag time to see those prices go up a little bit, but I can't see them staying the same. I don't think they'll go up as much as we talked about those smaller builders, custom builders. But I think eventually it has to go up. They have to get to the 2026 prices of things.
There's when you shift, there's also tariff escalation clauses where the AGC is actually recommending and pushing hard that contractors use a tariff escalation clause, and they have those signed because of this situation. So that is a real thing.
Well, it could put people out of business. If you're a builder and you didn't have some sort of clause in your contract and you're halfway through the home build, it could put you under, especially if you have more than one build going on.
Yep.
So that's something that we've seen in the past when people are hit out of the blue with these rising prices. So
this is what I think of when I read all of this. What it comes down to is, and I feel like we get more and more swing this way as we go, but it just comes down to working with each other and doing good business.
Yeah.
It has to be fair for both parties. So if you're out there trying to take advantage of, if builders are trying to take advantage of customers, or customers are trying to get a steal, and I feel like that got lost in the last 20 years. And it's like, look, I'm just trying to make a good living by building a home, and you want a fair price on your home. Okay. But that's why I think cost plus sometimes is really good, because everybody's on the same page, and it's like, okay, this is what you're making. I'm cool with that. You're going to build me a good home, whatever. Doesn't have to be that way, but that is a good option as well.
Or you might want to negotiate and see if they'll do flat fee pricing, because then if cabinets do go up 25%, you're not adding on that cost plus like pricing.
Yeah.
You still have your flat fee. Yeah. And the builder's happy because they're still making what they want to make at the end of the day.
That's right. That's exactly right. So there is a win-win. It doesn't have to be one versus the other. And I think that's in business in general.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's that complicated. I mean, it stinks that we're all going to have to bear the cost of the tariffs or whatever the heck is taking place right now. But the long-term benefit for all of us, hopefully, is very good. Right. But the short-term, we're going to have to work together, and we're going to have to, treat each other fairly.
But I think people are afraid to ask these questions, or don't know to ask these questions, or afraid to have that conversation. Maybe the builder is afraid to bring it up. They don't want to lose the business. Maybe the buyer doesn't know to ask or isn't thinking about that. They just want to get their dream home done. So I think if we're all having true conversations like this up front, like, hey, if during my build this happens, what happens? That is a good question to ask from the beginning. And we can't sit here and think that these situations don't come up. They've come up multiple times in the last 20 years since we've even been in this industry, where things catch people off guard. And like you said, the builder's just trying to make a living, and you're just trying to get in your home for a fair price. So I think we all, instead of the builder and buyer conflicting and battling each other, like you said, if everybody works together to figure it out, it's going to be a better process at the end of the day, until we can all get through this. There has to be an understanding from all parties.
100%. Just got to work together.
So
I put down some stuff for renovations as well. So, you have to budget 20 to 30% more. And like we talked about, the budget, the stacking, because it's all the trades are going to be in your bathroom or your kitchen, which is a lot of what's going to be done. Some people are doing additions. It might be a little different, but it's still going to cost them extra. Kitchen cabinets. If you're doing kitchen cabinets, make decisions now if you can. That happened in January. Some cabinet people, suppliers might still have, they might still have inventory that wasn't, hit with the January 1st increase, but that's something to think about.
Or maybe check out American made. It might be, I
That
mean,
too.
definitely price it out.
All that.
You
Yeah.
might not have been looking or asking those questions to whoever cabinet supplier you're going to, but maybe ask them if they know of any American made cabinets that they have access to and how those prices do compare, because now they might be a better option.
That's right. And appliances are up more than 2 times general inflation.
Well, I'm sure because a
So-
lot of those are imported.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so that's going to be hit
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah. And that's not anything you can get around. Yeah. So that's what I had on the builder versus renovation versus whatever. So I just want to make sure we went over that.
Yeah, we'd love to know what y'all think about this, and how long do you think that these increases are going to last? I just saw something where people can now start applying to get their refunds of tariffs that were charged because the court said that wasn't legal, but then Trump can appeal that decision. So it'll be interesting to see how
That is
that plays out.
interesting.
And are those businesses that already passed along the cost to the customer, are they going to help their customer out, or are they just going to keep it in their pocket and then they get a payday? How will that work?
I don't know if I'd call it a payday, but yeah, they'd get
Well, they
extra
passed
money.
their
Yeah.
cost
No,
along.
yeah, for sure.
So I don't think they were hurt as much as the customers.
No, I
I
agree.
don't know. It's just a conversation.
Yeah.
And this isn't political either way of what's right and wrong. It's just interesting to see what's going on and how this is all going to play out.
Well, I think a big part of it is also what is, we're not trying to get political, but that is part of the challenge as well, is Trump gets into office. He says, okay, we're going to start instilling these tariffs, right? And then everybody's going to pay a price. Here's what the tariffs are. Great. They finally make the decisions, whether you're happy about it or not. Then the Supreme Court rules against the tariffs. And it's like, now what do we do? Go backwards?
Ping
What
pong.
is happening? So
Yeah.
like that doesn't help either. And I think a lot of businesses are confused, but it's just the way it is.
Well, I think what you said is making everything uncertain.
Mhm.
And that uncertainty in buyers in the market, that's what is affecting prices and
Mhm.
interest rates.
Yes.
And buyers are maybe holding off from purchasing big items because they are uncertain. What does this mean? Where are things going? Should I wait? Should I do it now? Is it going to get worse? It's a weird time to be in right now, and to know what the right move is to make. And things are changing weekly, it
That's
feels
right.
like.
Yeah,
So,
they are.
if you ever are interested in buying, selling, building, renovating here, we'd love to sit down with you and have the conversation about your goals, what's going on right now, this second in the market, and what the best move is for you.
Plan. Come up with a plan.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Have the conversations, be realistic up front, have your worst case scenario, your best case scenario, make sure both of those are doable, and then take action. So, but I think it's really important to have these conversations with your builder, with your real estate agent, with your lender right now. And so that you go into this with as much certainty as you can possibly have in today's uncertain market.
That's right. And, we do these videos. We have a project coming up right now. We're about to start, and we're going through the process of a build.
Yeah.
And
pricing out everything.
Yeah, pricing out, bidding out the whole job. And it takes time, and you have to be aware of this stuff, but it has to work for everybody. But the reason why we do this is so that you can see what you need to consider before you actually move forward.
Mhm.
And we want to make sure you understand that you need to have trusted people around you, trusted advisors, if you will, so that you can make informed and good decisions.
Right.
Because if you don't, and you just go in with blinders on, it's going to cost you. And that's when things don't work out well.
Well, and I think we see this a lot where somebody's friend, family, agent from another market tries to give advice on our market, and two markets are not the same.
No.
So you need somebody local that is very familiar, whether it's here or where you want to go or wherever you live now. It's important to get somebody that's telling you these things from a very hyper local point of view, because you're going to get, when anybody hears that you're building, renovating, or buying or selling, somehow they want to talk about advice and what you should do and all of this. And Sometimes you just need to turn on the blinders, put on the earmuffs, and just have that one person that you trust that is local to give you the actual true information of what's going on, where you're actually looking to do something at that time.
Yeah. And the other thing that on that topic is real estate is absolutely hyper micro right now.
Yeah.
What is going on? Some places you can't even, it's like by community. It's so different.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, it's definitely not what's going on here in Myrtle Beach is the same thing going on in Columbia, South Carolina is the same thing going on in Connecticut, or the same thing in Florida. It's totally different.
Right.
And I think people think that it's the same everywhere, and it's not.
Exactly.
Some markets are in a totally different situation. They have plenty of inventory, and some markets have zero inventory.
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally different situation everywhere. So you need to talk with people who are boots on the ground, see what's going on every day, and have experience, because experience matters.
And Frank coaches people all across the country and hears all of the differences every day from people. And it's super interesting to know, but it's very frustrating from our side when a buyer or seller comes and we give advice and then they hear something from somebody that has no knowledge really of what's going on in our specific market. Our contracts are different, our prices are different, our codes for building are different. Everything's different, especially being at the beach. Like you said, even just a few hours inland is still totally different than at the coast.
Yeah.
So that's something I would caution people and just give that advice, because it can get very confusing already when you're making a big move, buying a house, building a house, renovating a house. And so when you don't know who to believe and you're hearing all these different things, it can cause you to become paralyzed in making a decision, because you don't know who to believe and you get so confused.
And that's why I always say, look at the data, lean on the data. We are sharing data with you tonight, stats with you tonight. We're giving you information based on sources. And so do your own research. Don't just listen to us.
Yeah.
Do your own research. But at the same time, you should take other people's opinions and kind of get an idea, but do your own research and then find trusted advisors, boots on the ground, and put a plan together and talk it through. And that way you'll make a really good decision, whether it's now or in the future, and you can do the right thing for you and your family.
Yes, because we are having record numbers across the country that the NAR has reported of buyers actually backing out of contracts. And I think that's what's happening, is people are just so confused.
They're confused.
Nervous. And if you already feel a little nervous and you don't know who to trust and you don't really feel that like security, then I can see why buyers are backing out. So
100%. I look like a trustworthy person.
Don't trust him. No, I'm just kidding.
You can trust me. You can trust me.
Yeah, Frank and I will always be honest with you. That's one thing. We have lost business before because we say that's not the right time to buy or sell or build. You know, we will always be honest with you no matter what. That's the one thing we can say. And even if you're not interested in doing something right now, but you want advice because you're planning in the future, building a custom home takes quite a while.
Yeah.
And so we can help. Obviously, we don't know how the market's going to be in 2 years, but we can help give you a path of things you need to be doing, steps you need to be taking to start preparing for that. Because when you're ready in 2 years, you don't want us to say, hey, it's going to take you another year to actually be moved into your custom home. So
that's right. So,
well, thanks. It was a good conversation.
You did amazing.
You did amazing.
You're impressive.
You're the most impressive.
It's just unbelievable. You stayed on task tonight. So if you have questions, reach out to us. Our contact information is at the bottom of the screen. We do that so that it's very easy. You can go to carolinacraftedhomes.com. That's our website. We have our YouTube channel, which some of you may be watching on that, but it's Living in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, the Harita team. And if you need anything, reach out to us, because we do love helping people. That's what we do all the time. And we love it. So hopefully this helped you tonight, and it helped give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on in Myrtle Beach and across the country.
And look out for our video coming out Sunday, and we'll see you again live next week on Thursday.
All right, everybody. Take care.